Where a tractor trailer crashed, 2 people were killed, and it was a big ball of fire at that point. So this obviously is something that cannot be cleaned up, and things open back up immediately.
Yeah.
So the far left lane is the far left of your screen is what you would normally see people going north, and then in the middle, those cars would normally be going in the opposite direction, but they are not now because they're switching traffic around.
So you could assume that many of the people in that middle lane, like this large truck right here,
Yep.
these are probably people that have been sitting there for hours as there was that 40 vehicle accident right up there by Washington Boulevard. We got a statement from Mayor Pugh on the weather conditions and the accident, which is just right up the street from here. I'll just share a little bit of what she said. She wanted to share her deepest condolences to those affected by the multi-vehicle crash. She writes that today's icy road conditions remind all of us that it is imperative to exercise extreme caution due to severe weather. And she also thanks emergency crews for their response to this. And she said she's going to keep working with city agencies to continue to render aid and coordinate efforts to stabilize road conditions for motorists. But this is not something that's going to, just happen right away. We're still dealing with this weather system. The winter weather advisory is in effect until 1 o'clock this afternoon.
And this is a situation where, we're told all the time, our parents tell us, to make sure to prepare your car in the winter at all times with emergency supplies, as well as a full tank of gas. Don't let it go too low, because many of these cars were stranded for hours. People stranded in their cars for hours. Who knows, if they had any supplies or anything for those many hours that they were stuck. So now is the time, if you haven't already, to prepare your vehicle as well for some of this winter weather.
Sometimes it takes that first winter storm to get you thinking that way. But I was thinking right now, I don't even know if I have an ice scraper in my car.
We'll get you one.
I'm one of the people, so I'm just like everyone else out there. I got to go home. I got to get my ice scraper. I got to throw my granola bar in the glove box in case you get stuck in something like this. And something else that kind of comes in handy, if you put a small little bag of cat litter in the trunk of your car, right? And then if you get stuck in an icy situation, you can put that underneath your tires, and that can help you get going too. So
it helps.
There's the news you can use.
Yes.
Stay with us. We're going to have more coverage of the breaking weather system coming up right here on WBAL TV 11 News.
One she wants y'all to take during the hit. Yeah, she's right here.
All right, I'm just buttoning up my coat.
All right, good morning, everyone. Once again, Mary Marshall here outside at WBL TV 11 Studios, where we are continuing our coverage of this winter weather. Now, let's take a look at what you're going to see when you step outside. Lots of slush out here, okay? This is slippery stuff. I'll just wait until this melts a little bit, but that's just me. Let's stick a ruler in here. Maybe about 1/4 of an inch, I think, of slush out there. That's here at TV Hill. You could have more at your house. So what's happening here is that we're in one of those lucky spots where the warmer air has finally come in, and we're getting some melting. There's still a light rain falling right now, but there's melting. I've been checking under the picnic table. No goodies under there, but I do see some ice beginning to melt a little bit. Now, here's the other hazard. It's going to take a while for this ice to melt, okay? As it does, you could get chunks of ice to fall off. It's not particularly stable, okay? So some of this could begin to fall off. Hopefully it's just little pieces like this, but it's possible. Like we have towers here, and any ice that was up there could fall in little chunks as it melts. Check out this tree behind me. Take a look at that. Now that is one of the most beautiful things about this type of weather. Just if you can sit back and stay off the roads and just look at Mother Nature's masterful artwork here. It's beautiful to see that ice just forming on the tree, but better on the tree than on the road. It's sometimes not even good on the trees because it could force power lines down, but this one is behaving. So that is just a beautiful sight to take in. Now, another thing I want to point out to you is that 98 Rock truck behind me, covered in ice. Even though the temperatures are above freezing, that's not going to melt anytime soon. This melting process is just that. It's a process. It's going to take a while. So while it's melting, we are still under the risk for the slippery roads, the slippery sidewalks. You could still slip and fall. If you go out right now, even though it's melting, you could still get into accidents. All these are still a factor for us. Let's go to Weather One really quickly. I want to show you the latest maps in terms of watches and warnings. Now, you'll see the areas in pink. Look to the north around Carroll County, northern Baltimore County, the northern tip of Harford County. Those areas are under a winter storm warning because there'll be a significant amount of ice still accumulating in those areas until at least 1 o'clock this afternoon. The winter weather advisory for the southern tip of Baltimore County, Baltimore City, Howard, and Arundel counties will expire at noon. That's because while some of the ice is not going to form anymore, it's still a process, and as it's melting, it is still a hazard out there. So that's something to keep in mind. Once you do go out later today, the temperatures will gradually warm up, and we'll see temperatures in the 40s by the afternoon, but we're still waiting for that warm air to come in, and in many locations, we're still finding the temperatures right at the freezing mark. So that's the latest look at the warnings and watches out here. Now I'm going to send it back over to my colleagues, Lacey and Adam. They're warm and snug in the studio. I tell you guys, I am not dressed for out here. I do have on my down coat, but I also have on stockings and sneakers. This is not normally what I would wear to report in, but I have some snow pants out in my locker that I may throw on. Meanwhile, warm there in the studio.
Well,
you had to get outside.
You were the one begging to go outside. Now you want to come back in?
Come on out here and join me.
We're going to talk to you now for like 15 minutes and keep you out there. No.
Yeah, you guys come join me out here and see how it feels.
Hey, I do have a question for you. I keep seeing some friends of mine are posting pictures where they're able to roll down their car windows, but then the ice is still there, so it looks like their windows are up on the cars. Does it look like that?
Cool.
Does it look like that outside in the parking lot? Will I be able to try that?
Oh, absolutely. On that 98 Rock truck and any car out here that has ice on it, that's exactly what's going to happen. I've seen this song and dance before. This is how it goes when you have ice forming. You could roll that window down, and that sheet of ice is going to be right there. It's kind of cool, actually, but, my opinion is a little biased. But it is kind of cool to see that, because it's something that's rare to see. But, yeah, and that's just the thing. It's still going to take a while, but be careful because, listen, as you shatter that ice is almost like glass. Those edges are pretty sharp. So again, even as the melting occurs, the hazards continue. Ice falling. As you break some pieces of ice, some of those pieces could be sharp. Just be careful. If I didn't have to work, I would be sitting at home just watching this. I kind of hunker down when the weather gets rough and I don't have to work.
She'd be all snuggled up with that baby at home.
I know.
That's right.
Hey, one other thing, Mary, just you pointed out the tree earlier and how it's got the ice on it, and you know,
Yeah.
we've been very fortunate that we haven't had a lot of power outages as a result of this.
Very fortunate.
Is that
Yeah, we have been very lucky because listen, ice is not the lightest thing. It does have a little weight to it, and as it weighs down on these tree branches near power lines, it can certainly help to bring them down a little bit, and that could cause some power outages. As I mentioned, luckily this one has not, and we haven't seen that happen around many parts of the area, but that's another hazard that we always have to look out for with ice. Now, I'll tell you where that could be possible. In that warning map area that I showed you, northern Baltimore County, basically maybe Cockeysville and points north, Carroll County, Westminster and surrounding areas, Harford County. You can see that northern tip of there. Where that winter storm warning is until 1 o'clock this afternoon, it's possible you could still get the ice accumulating because your temperatures haven't come above freezing yet. So you're just going to get thicker layers of ice on top of ice, and you could very well see that happen over the next hour or so. So we'll be watching for that very carefully as our coverage continues. So again, even though there is an improvement to the forecast in terms of some areas are coming above freezing, we're certainly not out of the threat. And I want to make sure I emphasize that the melting process is still a hazard. It's an improvement, but still a hazard. So we're not in the clear just yet. Give it a little bit more time and things will improve, especially later this afternoon. 2, 3 o'clock or so, a different ball game.
Mary, thanks for braving the cold for us.
as they say?
Sure.
As they say in Maryland, if you don't like the weather, just wait a couple of hours.
Yeah, sure.
It'll change.
We'll be right back with more in just a moment. Welcome back to 11 News. We continue to follow breaking news this morning with icy weather, road conditions that are hazardous, and much, much more. It has been a very dangerous morning.
Yeah, there have been numerous accidents reported all across the state. I mean, from Garrett County all the way to Cecil County. The only place that really hasn't had any big problems has been Ocean City and the Southern Shore, where it's like
Almost
50 degrees
yeah.
right now. So,
As it always
you know,
is.
the weather is changing, and that's what's happening right now. But let's go back out to Omar Jimenez. He has been at the scene of really the worst accident reported as a result of all this, the one involving the tanker truck. And you're watching now as traffic is kind of starting to move again. They've rerouted the traffic there on 95 near Caton Avenue. They're getting people moving off the roads now. And you've been talking with some of the people that have been stuck in all of this, Omar. I mean, what a morning for a lot of folks.
Yeah, it really is insane when you think about it. And one thing to remember is it is, close to 11 a.m. at this point. This is something that started in the early morning hours around 5 a.m. One of the drivers we spoke to who was involved in the multitude of crashes that happened at that scene just on 95, She's been sitting in her car the entire time, and her car was actually hit. So there were many who weren't even hit, but just had to wait for the entire scene to clear out. To give you an idea of where we are along Russell Street, and the cars that you see coming through here are ones that have been, they're detoured around 95. They're coming off of 295 here. And one interesting note is, you guys showed it on air just a few minutes ago, is that actually at 95 northbound, they are turning cars around to come back south. And in a strange image, I was sharing your sentiments as well, that